I think it's both.
Oh,
Oh,
meetings.
Halo is an online game. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Which can be like a drug if you play it too much, I guess.
Shoot 'em
right.
up, something.
That's right.
Let's see. Margot said she is swamped with end of school stuff. So she said she's not sure if she'll be back before end of school or not. She's just struggling. And let's see, did I hear from anybody else? I don't think so. I think that was it. And Heidi has to bug out at 7. So let me look a little bit on the agenda. Anita, could you mute? That'd be awesome. Feedback there. Oh, you know what we should do straight off then? I'll knock off a couple of bullet items and then we'll go straight to the comprehensive plan for Rockport so that Heidi can weigh in on that before she has to bug out. That's what we'll do. Yeah, and also going over the sidewalk survey, and then we'll do general reports. Any comments on the April minutes? Richard, you still reading those? You still good? Just nod your head.
Yeah, I have skimmed them earlier, but I really haven't looked at them. So if there's anything in there, we'll worry about it later.
All right.
Okay.
Any objections to approve them as written then? Thank you.
Nice job, Jeff.
Thank you. That's help from you too, Anita. 'Cause I use your rough notes quite a bit. Let's see. So let's see the anything. Anita, could you mute? That'd be awesome. Thanks. Maybe not. That's fine. Anita, I think it was on your plate to talk to Will Galloway about possible committee. So if you can do that next time you liaise with him, that would be great. Okay, so let's move to, I'm going to, wait, can I share my screen, Allison? Can I do that now? Let's see if I've got anything up that would be worthwhile. I thought I had it up here, but I don't. Whiteboard, phone pad. Here it is.
Your minutes said that there doesn't seem to be a problem with a non-Camden resident serving on the Pathways Committee or non-Camden Rockport resident with regard to Will Galloway. So did you, was that because somebody confirmed that with the town? That statement made in the minutes.
That's right. That's because Allison was talking about the different people that served on the
Library
committee,
Yeah.
Library Board of Trustees, and that it implied that it was just fine. So we're just going to go ahead and do that if Will is interested, Anita. So that's why I had that action item for you.
Wasn't that?
So let's go. Sorry, Linda.
Wasn't there a, Jeff, maybe you're listening and can correct me, but wasn't there a committee in Rockport too that wasn't Martin Cates on a Rockport committee? So the practice is replicated in Rockport too, I think.
After he moved to Camden. Well, I guess he was always.
There's no, I mean, the main unit, we went to the officers training tells us there are only certain boards where there's a statutory requirement. So anything else would be created by the select boards. And now any individual select board might have a policy or a philosophy on that, but it's only the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, those ones that are mandated.
Judiciary.
Yeah, so would just be in terms of a representative to the Pathways Committee, it would be at the discretion of whichever select board is relevant.
Thank you. So what I'll do is, let's see here. Nita, if you could mute again, that'd be awesome. So what I've done here is, have any of you taken a look at this? This is the survey. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. You can see it a little bit better. There we go. You're seeing this, right? All right. So the idea of this, of the sidewalk survey, actually, this is Camden, but it would be just the same for Rockport. What I did was I took and looked at a number of different surveys, not just ours, that have been done by other people, including the one that Nita found. The AARP does this as well. So the idea, at least the way I envision this, is it's kind of a prompt to the person who is doing the survey of the street sidewalk. So when they're walking, they'll look and write down the name of the street, and then under it they'll say, okay, what's the condition of the sidewalk? Is it broken? Does it have cracks? Is it tripping hazard? Is there a funny slope, uneven paving? So I'm looking for ways of helping people be prompted for what to look for when they're at a corner. You know, are there obstructions? Is the hedge coming too close to the edge of the road so that pedestrians can't see to enter a crosswalk, things like that. And that's what I'm asking you guys to help put your brains engaged and think about whether I've missed anything big here. So here I said I have vegetation, parked cars, or other obstacles interfering with clear passage. I've got hindrances here in the center here, handicap stroller accessibility. Are there curb cuts, ramps, curb cuts at handicap parking places, enough space for passage for the wheelchair, past things like utility poles, sidewalk curb repairs, crumbled areas, bad curbs, storm drain. This is sort of the tip of the hat to bicyclists or cyclists. A lot of storm drains are sunken, which is really a problem for bicyclists, and something that's hard for us to look at when we are thinking of sidewalks, but we have to be aware of that as well. Yeah. Anita. Mute.
Okay, there we go. This looks good. It's just the kind of questions we need to answer. You created it in the form of a chart. I'm not sure why you did that, because that would be a difficult way to make entries. Well, it would be really easy to make entries on the chart you created, but very difficult to collate it and connect it to the geography. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I see these being entered by pencil or by pen, sitting in a car or something like that, that they're not electronically posted. So trying to make it easy. So you're in your car, you don't have to put it on your computer. If you want, I can set up an Excel spreadsheet that you guys can sit in your car with your laptop and type it all in. But I'm trying to make this a low bar to hurdle in order to do it. And I didn't want to mandate that anybody had a computer sitting in their car or a laptop. That's why I did it this way. So it's more of literally you print out the piece of paper and you've got 10 copies of this form on a clipboard, and you just scribble your notes on it. It doesn't even have to be in any particular form. And then you turn them in, and then I would collate them into a table that each public works department would look at. That's how we did it last time. It's a little labor intensive, but actually goes pretty quickly because you start getting into a rhythm in the categories. You scribble your notes in under each category and it makes it easier. A lot of them are blank because it just doesn't apply. Places where it gets bad are like utility poles and things like that. But what I would do in addition to this is I would give the prior survey information along with this so that you're not duplicating and providing, because a lot of this stuff we've already done. The 90% of the utility poles are still right where they are, and we don't have to mark them and the addresses and all that stuff. Most of
Jeff?
the work that we cited before has not been fixed. Yes, Helen.
So you're going to be sending each of us, like in Rockport, the past Rockport surveys and
That's survey, yeah.
survey.
Which would be
Okay.
all the roads and all the sidewalks.
Okay, and then for this one, did you send us the form already? I think I saw something. Okay.
I did.
and we
I
just-
said, take a look at it, and then you just
Oh,
print them
okay.
out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just print them out. And there's some addition. But to Anita's question, in my mind, I was going, boy, it'd be a lot easier if everybody typed it in. That was a question. And
I don't carry my
I don't
laptop
know.
when I take a walk.
Yeah, it seems like last time we did this, we were jotting notes down. Does it make sense to have a field for citizen comments if we bump into people? It seems like that happened to me at Rockville. We could just jot them down. Or do you have a comment down at the bottom? Do you have a special place?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you do.
additional comments.
Yep.
And I even gave you lines so you can follow the lines.
Oh, that's not good. We don't
Yeah.
need those. That hard.
Okay, I'll take those out. Anita.
No.
Anita.
So I don't know, when I look at that and think about filling it out, last time we had a horizontal chart, and the reason that my mind wants to go to that and filling across it is that the notations, it's very important to notate the address of the place you're looking at. There could be 3 spots in one block. There could be no spots through 2 blocks. But wherever there's a spot like a crumbled sidewalk, I want to put the address, the house address. So I don't
Notice at the
remember
top.
this.
Notice at the top of the form it says, "Please
Mm.
note street address location closest to feature."
Yeah, so when I was doing the survey last time, I had a lot more comments or spots to comment about than I would want to waste the paper commenting on for each individual thing.
Yeah,
rather
and Anita, I
work
think the way you did it
on
last
our-
time, the way you did it last time was you wrote it on the back, and that was fine. It's just a piece of paper to prompt you to not forget about things. Write as
And-
much as you want.
Yeah, okay. And also, I, for one, am not going to want to do a sidewalk survey from my car. I would miss things. And it doesn't make sense. You need to transit the sidewalk. You need to be on the sidewalk to look at these things.
So how does that relate to carrying a laptop? Did you want to do it electronically or not?
Well, I would probably find a way to do it, but I would not say that, I would not suggest that everybody else would find that easier. You know, I might find a way to do that. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that, excuse me, you mentioned handicap access, which is excellent. Most of us would have in mind a wheelchair getting around something. I think it would be helpful if prior to printing this out, maybe I or somebody take measurements of a 4-wheel mobility scooter and just give, you know, what width actually needs to get through here. So I'm thinking of my mom's 4-wheel mobility scooter, and I'm thinking of like measuring that and saying, okay, this plus so many inches on either side, this needs to get down this sidewalk. I know there's at least one other mobility scooter in town, and hopefully there will be more in the future, but I think that's wider than a wheelchair. So people, our members need to have a sense of what width would need to pass.
That's an interesting point. I don't know if people want to take measuring tapes or not. This is sort of not super fine granular. It's like there's a telephone pole in the middle of the road. There, in the middle of the sidewalk. There's an obstruction here. It's not. We're not getting down to 1 foot or two. It's just sort of gross. Big picture. This is crumbling. It's not crumbling 2 feet. It's not crumbling 3 feet. It's not an inch high or something like that. Just bigger. Allison?
Yeah, I wanted to extend the offer if you want to put this all into Camden GIS system. I recently had a meeting with the company that does that all for us, and we're currently paying for, how to say this really quickly. It would be possible to create a unique login for a couple Pathways members, and we could have a layer in our database in the assessing database that could be turned on and off, which would be comments, it would be, all of these things like mapped out with fields, and it wouldn't be that hard and wouldn't cost the town any extra money. I agree with you that a lot of the things that you said before, I was recently reviewing all these old documents from the Pathways Committee, and a lot of them are still existing issues. And I think that some of that is because it's just hard to, we're missing the step of pulling up this document at the relevant times. And it would be so great if every time they were doing a project anywhere, you could turn on the layer that is, the Pathways sidewalk issues, or however you wanted to call it. So I know how to do that. I'm doing all the storm drain stuff right now. And so they've given me a login, and we could create another one for Pathways that we could talk in more detail at a later time. But that might be a great opportunity for Anita to kind of put in all of, geotagging. We could take these paper forms maybe, and as time allowed, put all the stuff into the GIS, and, with lengthy commentaries or not so lengthy commentaries. And anyway.
I think that's really the right way to go with the data ultimately. It's excellent and necessary. I find myself very uncomfortable with what seems to me to be a non-sustainable, paper-heavy way of making notations. I would like to hear from those members who will be doing these surveys as to what they can and are willing to do. But I would be willing myself to do something more computerized, so that I don't have a huge stack of paper that I have to annotate and then just throw away when that's entered. It just doesn't feel right to me.
I hear you, Anita. This is once every 10 years. It's 60 pieces of paper, maybe 40 pieces of paper. It's not a lot of pieces of paper. This is not bad. I wouldn't worry about the sustainability aspect. It's more, the bigger hurdle is getting people to do it. So I want to make it that way. So I heard your request to have some other people weigh in. Helen, you weighed in and said, I'd rather scribble notes.
Yeah. I'll carry a clipboard while I take my walks, but I'm not going to carry a laptop or drive a car or anything like that.
Fair enough. Heidi?
Yeah, I really like the idea of connecting it on the computer. Somewhere kind of in the middle of that scenario too would just be, a survey doc that automatically pushes everything to a spreadsheet that we could use, and then people could use the hard copy, and we just add to that spreadsheet. And that might be a combo that would allow for the different ideas. But I really like the idea of getting it layered onto the map. And I don't know, Allison, is it two different companies that Rockport and Camden uses for that, or could we combine it?
We could. There are a few different ways. There are two different companies, but both companies are pulling data from Esri or ArcGIS. So it's, we could do things in Camden has its own little mapping thing, and that Rockport does, but then also the county has a big grant to be doing stuff.
Mhm.
So there are a range of options that if there were enthusiasm, the money is there to do it. And Leticia could set us up with like an app. I mean, I have the collector app on my phone, and I log into the storm drain system. And then when I'm walking around, I can take pictures of things and add notes and features, and then it ends up in the town system. If there were, not everybody is going to want to do that. But it could be the type of thing where, you know, it can be logged, it can be done out in the field, or it can just be somebody taking the pieces of paper later on and entering it in. So it kind of depends on who is expecting to do what and how much enthusiasm there is for
Yeah.
it, what kind of a system we would set up. But
I kind of like what Heidi said was get the data, collect it, and then, and Allison, I think you're saying that also is, as time permits, it's going to be a big step. Well, it's going to be not a big step, but it'll be another lift to get the database up to speed and entering the data into that. The main thing is to collect the data at this point, and I don't want to create an obstacle for collecting data if we can do that. Helen?
Yeah. Well, I would not be, I mean, if there's money out there, I would not be adverse to using one of those little, like they call them tablets. That's like looks like something out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That you can use a stylus of some sort on to write. So
Yeah, I don't want to start going down the technology rabbit hole. Sorry.
yeah.
And this is not.
I guess
this
I would disagree, Jeff. If there's multiple people that are interested in doing it on the committee, then I think we should open that up. If it's something that you're not feeling comfortable with, that's, you know, totally fine. And so the idea of having a survey that's digital and the hard copies, that's going to be half of the data that you put in, you won't have to hand put in.
Well, I'm a super technophobe, and I even took a 1-week institute on using technology. So if I'm willing to try it.
Yeah, I'm not, don't get me wrong, Heidi. I'm not objecting to the technology. I see that there's going to be some hardware involved. We'll have to locate a tablet or 2 or 3. We usually go out all together to do this sort of as a team on a Saturday or something. We could do it independently. We'll have to pass the tablet around, or we'd have to develop some kind of a user interface for putting the information in, meaning similar to Allison's, the app could do that. That ties into the Esri database. Maybe we're just all logged in and we have licenses for that as a user. I don't know. It's just adding those layers. And the other thing was, and I'll have to, the key person, and I understand for planning the benefits of this, but the key person who I think we'd want to get input from is Dave St. Laurent, because he's the guy that's out doing the work.
And that's why I'm saying it, is that this is what Dave and I have been doing with the storm drains. And so
And that's what he wants?
I'm seeing the value of it. I agree with you though, Jeff, that getting it all in place, like in this like visionary way and the perfect scenario would in this moment be an obstacle to getting some of it done. But I think that I think you should just kind of proceed as you've done before. But if, say, a couple people wanted to do their portion of it or whatever and wanted to start working with me, like I could sit down with Anita, for instance, and say, hey, this is the system that we have for the storm drains. Would you be interested in learning this? We could set up even a layer just to start playing with or something like that. So we could kind of be making a little bit of progress on that on the side. So, if Anita wanted to be the experimental guinea pig to try doing it all digitally and avoid, for her portion of it or something. Anyway, I move forward with that on the side and then see.
I'm also trying to respond. I think Heidi said you'd like to do the survey in May. And I think Margot's, who was the other person, Heidi? Was it Margot said she would do it with you too? But
Yeah,
maybe
and
Margot's
Helen.
changed her mind. Oh, it's Helen. That's right, the two of you. And it's May, which is also why I tried to push this form getting done. So if you guys are willing, if you want to push it off for a while to learn those systems, and maybe Heidi could be the guinea pig for Rockport, but then you'll have to learn what they have in Rockport.
Rockport, don't have any that we could experiment in Camden because I've got it all figured out and they now trust me with the logins and stuff like that. I don't know how that would go in Rockport. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Richard, haven't heard from you yet. Anything, or Linda, you'd be thinking too? Any input?
Well, certainly one thing, I think the ability to take photos and have them connected while you're doing the survey has certain advantages. You know, a picture is worth 1,000
Yeah,
words. And
that's a really good point, Richard.
Describing what's wrong with a storm drain when there are 5 storm drains and you're not even sure which one and which one you're talking about in front of which building. You know, the picture of the storm drain is almost self-explanatory.
Good point. That's a really good point, Richard. And that's a big benefit of having an online system. Linda?
I don't really have a strong opinion. I don't want to get in the weeds.
Yeah, right. I'd
don't,
like to
but-
move on to what we'll do, Anita. I got to move on to the next agenda item. If there's not, is it something new?
Can't hear you, Anita.
Now you can. Sorry. You're speaking in this survey of the sidewalk. You did mention the storm drain with regard to biking. Wouldn't you want to mention that if there's anything else that somebody observes with regard to a bicycle traveling along this particular section of the road, besides storm drains, there might be some other things.
Let me go back to my framing. This is supposed to be a prompt. It's
Right.
not a be all end all. It's just a
Right.
prompt to say, think about these things. So
I understand, but you're not, so far, we haven't discussed or suggested that.
I said bicycle safety. So
Okay, so I think before the survey is done, it's important for people to recognize that you're also looking at the road for bicycle issues, not just a single issue, but you know, maybe there's an area that that kind of striping that was done.
understood. I got it.
Town could work.
I got it. Yeah, you're talking about advisory lanes and sharrows and suggesting those things.
Oh, I don't think there'd be that many places that would be recommended, but maybe there might be 1 or 2 places where, gosh, it'd be really good here because there's a curb on this side and there's not much room on that side and
Okay,
I've
what I'm
run
going
into
to do is,
problems, blah, blah.
I feel anxious. So what we'll do is we'll table this to our next meeting, and you guys will not have to do the sidewalk survey this month. And Allison, if you want to work on the idea for Camden, do you want somebody want to volunteer for working on the electronic version for Rockport? We can do that. There's no urgency for the sidewalk survey, and the BCM is going to end up eventually coming in and doing a presentation on looking for bike and pedestrian safety that we were hoping to have all of us oriented to before the call. And I feel a little pressed to sort of did this out of order. We have to finish the Rockport survey. This is our shot at doing that. So I'm going to push this off and we'll have to go on to the Rockport survey. Thank you. We'll talk about it more next month. Back to my screen share. I'm going to have to, just a second, I got too many things here. I'm going to try to pull up that survey, wherever it was. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah. So what Rockport is looking for is input to the comprehensive plan. And actually, I bet you Jeff could do a better job. So if I butcher this, Jeff, please step in.
Well, either that or I can jump in and just give you a break.
Do it.
I think you need a break, Jeff.
I need a break.
I think you need a break. Okay, Rockport's comp plan is under current revision. And the last one was done in 2004. Some work was done a couple of years ago. But anyways, there's a committee pulled together and they are now they have a very well detailed plan. You ought to take a look at it sometime if you haven't seen it. I think there'll be an article perhaps in the next town newsletter. Very detailed timeline and plan. And we're currently in the period this month of collecting input from our committee members. We have not opened the tool that you're going to see up to the public yet. We are now in the process of getting committee member input. And there really aren't any, I mean, except for the decency and civility rules, there's no area that you can't provide input. It doesn't have to be just on pathways and sidewalks and roads and bicycle paths. Okay, it could be on something else if you have feelings. And this tool is a pretty cool tool to be able to get this information. It's easy as can be to use, and I will turn it over to Jeff to make it happen.
Thank you, Jeff. So you can see on the left here, you have your add your ideas to our virtual wall. Those are for, my understanding, Jeff, that's for Rockport residents, right?
It will be at some point in time. Right now, again, it's for committee members. This link will go out to, it'll be shared through multiple means so that others can provide input as well.
Right,
Yeah.
but for now, we're supposed to give, Rockport committee members are supposed to be giving feedback here.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the next in the middle, it says standing committee survey, which is what we're gonna do right now as a group to give our response as a committee. And then no, we won't talk about the Explore the Ideas map.
Overkill
That's
for
something.
this point.
Yeah, so let's take this survey and see what happens.
Wow, it's almost like their ideas map could be, I'm so impressed.
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
with the sidewalk survey,
I'm
the
like,
sidewalk survey.
Well, you know, our
jealous.
job
Wow.
our job is to use more advanced tools in Camden.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, this is impressive.
So
I think the idea map is already open for the public to put in, or is this a new version of the idea map, Jeff?
This all has been created in the last month.
Okay. There used to be where you could like pick the street and say there's something happening.
Oh yeah, but that's where you input like
that's
you have
the
street light out
potholes.
there.
I think
Yeah, that's
potholes and street lights.
this is all dedicated solely to comp plan
Like big.
development
Cool.
input.
Super cool.
And you know, here the first question is, what do we value? What problems are we looking to solve? What are expectations of our community? So when you say we in this context, Jeff, I'm thinking the committee.
So what do we value would be what do the citizens of the town of Rockport value?
So what are impressions of,
Yes.
so
What
as
would
the
be
committee
your
looking,
resident of the town of Rockport, or for this point, as a committee, I mean, what does this committee value?
so I would say something like ped and bicycle connectedness, something like that. Something like that.
And maybe even be more specific, you know, say,
Yeah.
you know, we want Camden and Rockport fully linked here on bicycle walkways, works, whatever it might be. Again,
Like the Pathways mission statement.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally. Let's just get what we constantly say.
Yes, the interconnectedness,
really
connecting
important.
destinations.
Well, why don't we
We'll
pull
just take
up?
the text.
Hmm?
Isn't there a whole thing written on I was just looking at it on the website. You have this mission statement. It's
Yeah,
pretty darn
Yeah.
good. You could just copy and paste it.
I think if we're speaking as the Pathways Committee, it's important that we take what we've already put out there time and time again and keep replicating that, because if we start reinventing what we're trying to say, then we're going to be here all night.
No. Yeah, we don't want to do that. I'll come back and fill that one in. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take notes and then come back and fill this in. Anita?
I don't know, Jeff, I think you ought to just do the rapid type. I mean, catch the words and the thoughts and then go back and clean it up.
So I agree about making connections, but I'd like to add a even more blanket statement by saying have infrastructure that provides safe pedestrian and bicycle transportation.
Yeah, it's our
within the
mission.
town of Rockport.
It says that in our mission.
Safe,
Yeah.
safe
Yeah, I'm pretty
pedestrian and
sure.
bicycle transportation.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
pretty
and
sure.
we constantly say for the safety for the sake of public safety, public health, and for the outdoor economy.
Yeah, we get the economy in there
And
too. I just can't find it.
can you add all season?
I wouldn't be comfortable with that. Because, but that's just me, because it puts a huge burden on the towns to plow everything. And that's not the intent.
What about all season in town center?
I think it's too granular. And we want to be bigger here. Other thoughts?
Well, the library committee that I chair was also asked to fill this out. So I've looked at both the map and the ideas that are up on the wall. And in reading what is up on the wall that's already been posted, it's obvious that some people in town have no clue what the pathways are for, why there are sidewalks, why there are problems with the sidewalks. And there was even somebody complaining about people were walking in the street on Mechanic and down that way.
So what are you saying? What are you saying, Helen?
We need, people need to be aware of what Pathways is doing, our long-range planning, what money has been put into the budget by the town to repair sidewalks, because people are complaining about them and they don't know, they don't know what's going on. So some sort of communication about needs to be there.
Yeah, this is, oh my gosh. Something happened
It's
to my
pretty,
computer.
it's actually, if we're taking this from if we're filling this out from a Pathways Committee, and I'm sorry that I didn't have a chance to look at it before, but I really think it's important that we fill it out as the Pathways Committee, and therefore it deserves some more thought than suddenly, coming up with all of this stuff tonight, right? I mean, we have the language and we use it a lot.
Okay, so
I would offer, Jeff, just to help you a little bit. Capture the words in the boxes as people are saying them, and then go back and do some editing, because we've got a dozen questions here plus, and we've got 2 words written down, and we've been at it 10 minutes.
oh, I'm very aware of it. And the questions are very, very global. I did spend time looking at them earlier, so.
They were made that way on purpose so that they'd be very open questions in order to not
Yeah,
try to funnel or direct any form of input.
yeah. And Helen, this is not, this survey doesn't feel to me to be something that has to position the Pathways Committee. It's an opportunity for the Pathways to express what our views are of the things that are on the level of a comprehensive plan.
Well, in
Big
which case,
picture
better
thinking.
communication somewhere.
So
should
we
be.
can, yeah, we'll think about that. Maybe it fits in another category.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next question, see how we go there. What are our community's strengths, weaknesses, unique qualifications, considering what is going on in the world? So this is Rockport's unique qualifications.
So on this one, I would say Rockport is lagging behind other communities that have pushed ahead, creating safe pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. Which is why we're going for that grant, right? With the DOT. And connecting neighborhoods, like we always talk about.
Yeah, connecting it.
Yeah. How about destinations?
Destinations to institutions and neighborhoods. Oh, Allison pulled up the Pathways Master Plan. That's great.
On a shared screen?
On
I
chat.
It's in the
put a
chat.
link. I just realized
Oh,
I accidentally sent the one for Camden at first, but now I just found the one for Rockport.
should be the same.
Well, Rockport has specific
I don't
things
think,
for Rockport.
I don't know if I can get chat when I'm sharing screen.
So you're saying connecting destinations, institutes, and neighborhoods. I would say town assets like the library and the town office and those sorts of.
Aren't those destinations?
Those are institutions. But you're right,
Yeah.
Anita, to say schools, libraries,
Schools, yeah,
post office.
You want me to say all that stuff?
yeah. I think for sure at least list the schools, library, town office,
We're
Just
supposed
say
to get the
schools and public
library.
Facilities.
police department.
Post
What's
office.
That's why I
that?
was calling them town assets, but that's probably too vague.
Hospital, put in the hospital because we all want to ride down there for our health checks.
Uh-huh.
But we're supposed to get
Okay.
the sidewalk out Main Street this year.
Yeah,
What about
really?
the fields?
Coming
The
across
fields.
Route 1.
That's why why, okay, I don't agree that we have to list everything, but that's okay.
You're the
Hey,
editor. Yeah.
I mean, just
Because, yeah.
destinations, yeah.
Because Jeff, it triggers things in people's minds that they weren't thinking about. So Anita's totally on target with that one.
Was it Marge Jones, Fields, Marcy, Linda's house?
I don't think you're going to get a sidewalk out that section of Main Street.
Let's keep going. We can
Well,
come
you might
back.
as well mention Harbor and downtown, but those already have sidewalks, but you're connecting to them,
So while you're doing this
like
though,
the Main
Jeff-
Street one.
Jeff, it's really subtle, but while you're doing this, I do think we need to say Glen Cove and the hospital and West Rockport, because we're concentrating here with our institutions just with pretty much around the village.
Don't forget Rockville.
Yeah.
This is not helpful.
You're just gonna make it long.
I'm sorry, it's not helpful. If I read this, it's like, yeah, basically you want to connect all the destinations, everything in Rockport.
Absolutely.
But,
Well,
It's not-
could I just say something really quick?
so why not just interconnect this? Just Heidi, go.
I think looking at if we're looking at specific strengths and weaknesses, I think what this represents is that we have the weakness of that we're not, that we don't have those pathways, but our strength is that we have, this just amazing center space, but we do have a lot of outlets that can get us to Rockport and beyond. And so maybe it's more of there's a parentheses of a few things, but really recognizing that we do have kind of a vision, and the town has a vision and our committee has a vision of how that can happen, where a lot of towns just really don't have chunks of open space that the town owns or that land trusts own, that can allow us these pathways to connect easier. So that's really
Yeah,
a strength that we have.
Yeah, you didn't say Erickson Field. Should I say Erickson Field here? Yes.
That's a really good point, Heidi. Thank you.
So then among the strengths, I'm not clear on whether this is covered in what you just said, but the sidewalks downtown, their strength.
This master plan is just filled with gold. It's like the whole thing that everybody's saying. It's really good stuff. I think the goal should be like everybody should read the existing documents maybe.
Well, maybe that's what the comp plan is looking for, is affirmation, whether they've missed anything.
Well, I think we sent the comp plan. I sent an email with our master plan,
Yeah,
so they should have it.
How do you get people to read it
Are
though?
you talking about the Pathways Master Plan?
Yes,
yes.
Rockport? Thank you.
2015.
Let's move on. Our housing, what is it? Describe our current housing alternatives and what else you might like to see. I think that's a shot at short-term housing, affordable housing.
Housing that you can reach on a bike.
I think that's important because this is coming from the committee.
Maybe higher density housing. That's a big thing.
Well, the
So in other
Coast Guard-
words, zoning that permits higher density.
Yeah.
But that's, now we're getting into, we're talking as the Pathways Committee, a two-town committee. I don't think we should get into the housing other than to say, connect our subdivisions and our whatever housing developments with pedestrian and bicycle pathways.
Mm.
Like, how about infrastructure? Is that okay, Linda?
I would say,
Look for opportunities for pedestrian easements and things. I've in Camden and Rockport, we have all these little things that every time that a development has gone in or a property is transferred, you should be, the planning board should be looking to say, oh, is this a good place for a pedestrian easement? Or I don't know. I think a lot of efforts have been made for that in the past, and it's easy to forget when you don't think there's like anything that's going to connect to it right in that moment. But
Heidi, I know you have to drop off here. I just had a thought.
what, sorry,
Take a look at the survey later, and if you have some specific things, send them to me, and I'll incorporate them as best I can. I didn't realize the email I got from, was it Oliver, Jeff? I can't remember
Orion.
the person's name.
Orion. Tom.
Orion. Yeah, Orion sent me, said he wanted them today, the feedback. I wrote back to him and said, that's not possible, but I didn't hear back.
He said he
Um,
wanted them for tomorrow.
Do
The
the best you can.
No, he said yesterday.
Yep, the
Today.
4th.
He said yesterday, yeah. And I said, that's not possible. And I said, we get it in by the end of the week, but I didn't hear back.
Jeff, get it in at the end of the week and I'll run interference for you. That's what select board liaisons do.
Thank you. But here on the website, it says May 21st or May something. I can't see it anymore. But it says like the end of May when it's due.
hey,
I
Jeff,
noticed that. Linda?
just quickly for back to the housing, I think we need to strengthen our ordinances for more sidewalks, pedestrian infrastructure.
Something about strengthen review of head, like
No, ordinance,
infrastructure, when ordinances planning.
Or just say to be pathway
Something.
and walkway friendly.
well, no, I think that our ordinance, our subdivision ordinance and our housing ordinances need to be strengthened to strongly say we have to put sidewalks in. If we have a subdivision, a sidewalk has to connect. Massachusetts does it, Maine doesn't do it. So
I was actually, that's great. I was going to suggest that as well. Make sure that anything new built that relates to housing must include pedestrian infrastructure.
If I do need to just jump off, so did this survey get sent to us individually?
The link.
The
Yeah,
link was?
I sent it a link in an email from me, and I think it was like background materials for the meeting or something. I sent it Monday or Sunday night. I can't remember.
Jeff, we
Yeah.
got the sidewalk survey for Camden, but are you saying that there was a link for this one that we're filling out now as well?
In the email that had the sidewalk survey, a little further down, it said, here's the link that I'd like you to take a look at. There was a hyperlink.
Could you, or if
I'm
somebody else?
happy to
it-
send it again.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in my
Okay,
email. But everybody have a great night.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. You as well.
Hi, Heidi.
It, this says, describe our current housing alternatives and what else you might like to see. We haven't described the current housing alternatives, and we haven't talked about more or less housing or choices, but we have commented specifically on adding more infrastructure
Yeah,
when
in terms-
constructing new stuff.
Yeah, in terms of choices, there needs to be some more multifamily, lower income or
But that's
less
it.
expensive.
But that's not us as a committee. Like, I will disagree with you, Helen, on different things, or with Anita.
But we're
think
not
we have-
supposed to do this as pathway oriented. It's supposed to be as a committee.
But we would do it as individuals. We can
Yeah.
go on and.
So we can we're doing this as a committee now, and then we can go back to it and do it again as an individual.
Yeah. can we
No,
do that?
only residents, Anita, only
Okay.
residents.
Yeah.
And the surveys that an individual will, presumably the survey that the individual will fill out will not look the same and have the same questions, but I'm not sure about that.
No,
Jeff, do you know if the survey's the same?
they're not. 'Cause basically, what I got told the individuals to go under this, add your notes and put into, that was the instructions I got as for the library committee, that the individuals were to go use to add notes.
Okay,
On this
Jeff,
one?
what,
Yeah.
this needs to come from the committee, what you're doing right here.
Yeah, this is coming from the committee. This is
Right.
not the individual. The
Okay,
individuals are
individuals.
on the wall. They're on the wall, the IDs.
Right.
are.
Every resident will have a chance to dump their bucket on that wall.
Yeah. So, yeah, Helen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's right. And Linda and yeah. Yeah.
You know, here's a good one on the environment, all right, from the Pathways Committee. Yes, the Pathways Committee and people that are using our sidewalks and our bikeways, you could comment on the amount of trash that is not being picked up on alongside the road on these areas. But that would be a good Pathways type comment. You could comment on some of the things that you may or may not have seen, you know, such as drainage needs to be improved on the existing pathways, things like that that are connected to the committee as well as the environment associated with Rockport.
Right. I could see that like in Camden with the seawall. So,
Are there issues regarding, do we want to mention issues regarding plantings that property owners allow to reach into the
Yeah,
right of way?
yeah, there's a street sidewalk that I walk on Mondays that's basically completely taken over by the shrubbery at the corner for about 30 feet.
That happens a lot, and maybe in the comprehensive plan, you'd want to ask that there be some kind of provision that property owners are expected to keep that clear so that they can,
This is
if there
yeah.
isn't an ordinance, they can add an ordinance, and it would be in line with the comprehensive plan statement.
I think on Mechanic Street at one point, as you're coming up the hill and it flattens out towards Ellesmere Farms, I think they did cut back a whole bunch of bushes that were taking up part of the sidewalk a couple, 3 years ago. Linda, do you remember that?
I don't remember that. Whose house on Mechanic?
It was, well, you know, as you come up Mechanic and you go up the hill and it straightens out, Doug Cole is at the far end. And about halfway down that set of houses, there were bushes that came out into the sidewalk.
Oh,
I think they cut them. I think town had them cut them back or did it themselves.
yeah,
They
but
moved
didn't
they
Andy
moved the
Lewis-
sidewalk. They moved the sidewalk.
That too,
Hey.
they may move the sidewalk.
They moved the sidewalk instead of cutting back the bushes.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Wow. So
And-
Rockport accommodated the property owner more.
That's correct, because and I don't want to digress into this. This has to do with the environment. If you're saying that the town has to enforce
Protect.
the environmental ordinances better or
Yes.
something like that, they have that power already. They're just choosing not to confront the property owners.
Yeah, the environment includes clear access to the sidewalks and pathways, and that must be strongly enforced.
And I'm sorry, Linda, clear access to sidewalks and what?
Pathways.
And something about not the viewing corridor, but something about being able to see line of sight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the dogs fighting them.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did you-
crosswalk.
Did you mention, you were talking about drainage? Would this include water?
Rockport, yeah.
Water draining across sidewalks and causing an unsafe surface in the winter, freezing? So drainage being improved in such sections where there's a sidewalk
ones?
and there's.
What do
I'm
Yeah.
just wondering whether there are such places.
Oh, yeah.
As a general goal in the comprehensive plan, you want to evaluate water drainage with an eye towards freezing in winter.
Mhm. There's
and
also
danger
sand
on
being
sidewalks.
washed down onto sidewalks too. So there's a,
So I know in Camden, there are areas like coming up Washington Street where walking up there in winter, I literally had to go out into the street to walk because of the sheet of ice that had poured across the sidewalk. So the sidewalk was clear, but the drainage made it unsafe. So so just mentioning drainage in that context.
What about the environment, kind of climate and stuff like that? I know it sounds maybe pedantic or redundant, but encouraging people to walk and bike more
For the sake of climate. Yeah.
for the sake of climate. I mean, that's when I thought of the environment. What should our approach to the environment is encouraging bike and pedestrian infrastructure and in so doing, creating structures so that people can walk and bike rather than having to drive.
And yes, and reduce.
I mean, there's so many frustrating things related to that.
Yep. Put it in, Jeff.
So we're talking about putting in the pathways master plan. That is what we wish, but can we actually proactively request that the comprehensive plan state that the town's goal is to create safe pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, blah, 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 and also the statements you were just saying? Is that different than saying what the Pathways Committee would like to see? What they'd like to see is that the comprehensive plan actually state that as a town goal, state our mission as a town goal, safe pedestrian and bicycle access.
Oh, sort of like what Camden did when you made that statement. When the Camden Select Board made a similar statement.
Yeah.
That's kind of different. I hear what you're saying, Anita. It's a good idea. And actually I'll have to, somebody can remind me about this. I should take what Camden did and try to push it on the Rockport Select Board and see what kind of acceptance there is there.
good luck
That was
with
pretty
that.
cool. Yeah, thank you, Helen.
That's a great way to phrase it too, I'm sure.
We're getting a pretty new select board in June, so.
Encourage.
So on to the next question.
What does our economic growth look like?
The outdoor economy. The outdoor economy with pathways and sidewalks connect. We have it in the plan. We say it in our plan.
That's good, Linda. Thank you. Yeah, read the fine print.
Oh, my eyesight's going bad. I've got to have cataract surgery later this year.
Oh, geez. Sorry. I can't make it any bigger.
No, that's okay. I've got a magnifying glass.
Thank you. Outdoor economic growth. What does it look like? What does growth look like?
More stores, more places to go, more places to buy.
Really?
Well,
See, now I'm going to disagree with you, Helen. See, this is where I think we really have to stick with just our Pathways mission on
yeah,
this.
well, but I mean is things that you can get to. I mean, I would love to have a little corner store that I could walk to get my gallon of milk rather than get in my car and drive to Hannaford or down to Shaw's.
But if we had pathways, you could ride your bike.
I don't own a bike. Well, I do, but does anybody like want to buy a nice old bicycle?
There are lots of people. Helen, it's a seller's market.
Oh,
It's
this
true.
is a very, very old Schwinn,
true.
ladies
It's
Schwinn,
true.
classic
It's a seller's
style.
market. It's a seller's market, Helen.
Okay.
Anita.
I'm thinking of the RES site.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's growth in terms of construction and commercial growth, if I were a Rockport resident, what I would say here, actually I can say it as a Pathways person too, but is not to string it out on, say, Route 90, but
Mhm.
rather to concentrate the growth in the commercial sections like downtown, or to try to concentrate the growth in a particular area that then is accessible as more of a commercial center rather than strung out the way it is on Route 90.
Well, again, like in Rockville or West Rockport, a little, don't swear at me, a little shopping mall with your little grocery store, your little country store that people can walk to, that they don't have to get.
I agree. And the Rockport ordinances reflect that effort. It just hasn't happened because the
economy is bad.
the town just says, oh, our tax revenue is along Route 90 and Route 1. So therefore, let's make sure we accommodate that. So it's kind of like a conundrum that this town just has.
Yeah.
But if we as a Pathways Committee just keep harping on connecting so that people don't have to drive their cars, they can walk or ride their bikes to where they need to go to get what they need.
There's a vision that Richard Remsen has for that section at 1790 intersection.
Yeah.
He's got a vision of a village there, and
Yeah.
you can state that you'd like to see that village come to fruition. I don't know what's holding it back at this point politically, but I think that's a town center type vision that he has there.
I think he's got a large lot of land that he offered to use as a sort of a development. I don't know if that was mixed housing and commercial or what. It's been several years now.
But I think it's okay to say out on our major highways that that the Pathways Committee is adamant that we have that if growth is going there, which it is, that the Pathways is adamant for. I mean, we've already talked about Route 1, right, from Hannaford to Route 90, yada yada. So if we just reinforce that, Jeff, I guess. You're muted.
I didn't quite track on that. I just said don't stretch out along Route 1, and you're just saying, hey, the fact is it's going to be stretched out on Route 1, and if it is, then do bike ped connections.
I think I think if we as a Pathways Committee say, okay, Rockport, if you're going to continue developing, targeting your growth along the major highways, then all the more need, not, oh, we need, but all the more need for pedestrian and bicycle access. With an esplanade. Could you sneak that one in, esplanade?
Yeah.
There's quite a difference between Route 1 corridor and the Route 90 corridor. It would be good to clarify whether we envision a separate pathway beyond the school along
Oh, we
Route 90.
do.
We
We
did,
do. It's in the master plan, Anita,
Yeah.
both ways.
all the way to West
Yeah, it goes
Rockport.
all the way to Route 17.
And Jeff, hopefully
down
you'll
Route 1.
put in up top, somewhere in there that we recommend that everyone reads the 2015 Pathways Master Plan. You'll,
Right there.
Please define everyone in that statement. Are you talking about everyone who's working on the comprehensive plan?
yeah, no, whoever's
The-
creating the
Okay,
revising the vision.
all right, so you're requesting that the drafters of the comprehensive plan
Yeah,
be sure that they are familiar with the complete contents of the Pathways Master Plan.
yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
I think that clarifies who everyone is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're writing directly to that. Okay, good. How about public facilities? How do they serve? What should be our approach to town governance, infrastructure? Oh, I know the answer to this. There's the list. Well, connections. Bike and ped.
For public safety, for public health, and for the health of the outdoor economy.
And the environment.
Public health,
And the environment.
environment, and the outdoor economy, and the economy. How about just the economy? Can I sell you on that?
I'm gonna need to jump off about 7:30.
Okay, I think
Almost
this
there.
is the last question. This
Okay.
is the last question.
Ah,
What should be our approach to town governance, infrastructure, schools, library, gathering places, broadband, sewer? I think, is this also where think about keeping bike and pedestrian considerations when we do this stuff, when we put in a new road, when we put in sewers, there's an opportunity to go, hey, we're putting in a new sewer here. Is this the time when we add a sidewalk? Is this the time when we add a pathway? That this has just exactly happened, Helen,
Yeah, I know.
on Route 1 with the sewer extension. And it was like, there was not even the thought about how we could leverage this.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, this is where we talk about the town governance. This is what we talk. This is what we do. This is right here, Allison. This is it.
Town governance.
This
Yes.
is what was that called, Allison? The thing about the declaration the select board made. What was
oh,
it
the
called?
resolution of,
Develop a
pedestrian
resolution.
safety was it the pedestrian safety resolution? Let me look.
Bike and pedestrian. No, it was just pedestrian because it was pedestrian safety.
Right,
Okay.
because it was of the DOT's thing, yeah.
Pedestrian safety resolution. Talk to Jeff.
Jeff, to follow up on what you just said, could we make a statement that anytime any underground, what do you call
That's what
it?
the safety resolution is about, Anita. It says it's integrated into that resolution as a governing thing. It's really wonderful. And just as a footnote, Allison, I have been trying to get Jeremy almost weekly to say, okay, now that this resolution has been developed, how do we codify that? What do we do in the planning board? How do we integrate this intent?
That might be a Anita thing. I mean,
I don't know, but it's development. It's a planning person. So I was trying to get Jeremy, but
maybe, yeah.
Because just to state it isn't enough, Allison. You're going to have to start acting on it. Otherwise, it just sits out there.
Oh,
Right.
well, we've got all kinds of stuff. We're moving forward with removing stuff in the right of way. It took a little bit to figure out actually what to, now that we have the resolution, what does it actually take, like for Dave to remove hedges and things like that? And it turns out the advice that we got from Bill Kelly was that actually that turned out the resolution does exactly what we need to do, but he's still supposed to ask there's supposed to be several rounds of asking the property owner to do it themselves. And so we've got 3 places right now that are in.
Oh, good. So
You know.
this helps. This helps also with what we were talking about before, which is that the town feels empowered to enforce the ordinances.
The problem is it's just like trying to figure out a way that it doesn't just depend on ambitious town employees being willing to like really go after it, because it's all a little bit discretionary and it's not that pleasant. So it's like them finding extra time in their day to write to Bill Kelly to find out what to do about the property owner that said no. Or so I agree that finding some way to,
At least it provides you the leadership to say, the leadership meaning the document that the select board adopted, to say, okay, then the question becomes of where is it in the priorities of getting your everyday job done in order to implement it. I don't know.
That's why I want all this stuff in the GIS database so that it's just easy to see all the time, like just kind of glaring out there.
No, I think I love that idea because it has much more, it's be much more visible in many more situations. I just don't want it to stop us from moving forward.
Yeah, no, I
think we should do it in parallel.
I am not familiar with, forgive me, but I'm not clear on what resolution you're referring to and what it says.
Oh, I'll send
but I'd like to
good.
finish my thought without being stopped, Jeff. The thought, and I don't know, it doesn't look like you've specifically covered that. A specific request that when underground utilities are being repaired or installed, that each time an area is dug up next to a road, that a sidewalk should be considered to cover it. Something a little more proactive regarding that.
That's a good idea, Anita. That should go back up under where we talked about ordinances. Just slip that one in.
Yeah, I think this is a better place, Linda, because it talks about governance here.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah, but it's basically the same thing what we said before, similar.
Yeah, I'm just making trying to get it into almost ordinance language or in the comprehensive plan that we want an ordinance that says that. Doesn't mean that a sidewalk has to be put on top of it, but it must be considered.
Well, you're gonna
not considered.
You're gonna write that up on the Camden Planning Board, right? And get that on and then Rockport will look at that one.
Okay, remind me.
Yeah.
How's that?
So that covers underground as well as above ground then? When new.
Just gave an
infrastructure-
example, sewer.
Yeah, when new infrastructure is going in or on the.
I always said a project. I didn't say infrastructure. It seemed more
Well,
generic.
no, but this is just talking about new stuff. I want to include repairs.
That's
When
why I
a
said a project. I didn't say new infrastructure. I said a
project
project.
is considered, does that include a repair of a sewer?
I would
Every
accept.
time there's a project. Yeah. I didn't say new. I didn't say old. I deliberately, I can say new or old.
New or repair, not old, repair. Yeah, there you go. So, when you
This is
say
like that
bike and
memo.
ped
This is
bike
like
and
that
ped
memo we sent you.
infrastructure, must be considered. If I were on a town DPW, I would go, oh, yeah, we're gonna dig up this road. There isn't a sidewalk, so we don't have to consider it.
But Anita,
You're-
I mean, it came up in Rockport with the sewer down Route 1 and we
I
sent
know.
a letter.
I know, but so you gotta think, how is a DPW person gonna look at this? They're gonna go, oh, I'm considering bike and ped infrastructure. There is no infrastructure, so I don't need to consider it on this project. Whereas what I'm trying to say is this as an opportunity to create new bike and ped infrastructure in conjunction with this project. You see the difference? When you just say considered, that
How about
doesn't
that?
have any meaning.
Does that do it, Anita? I just said is considered by town new bike and ped infrastructure. New bike and ped infrastructure must be
Considered
new bike and ped infrastructure must be.
adding, how about adding new bike and, adding new bike and ped infrastructure. Yeah, there you go. I think that gets more to what I want them to read out of it. What do the rest of you think?
Looks good.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience, Jeff. I had a hard time getting going. Thanks for helping me get started.
Did you fill in the last little thing?
Yeah, it says, which committee am I on?
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I will do that.
Thank you.
I just hope that this doesn't disappear if I don't work on it tonight.
Ooh, take a snapshot of the screen.
I can't. It goes blah, 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 blah. I'd have to take
I'll
several.
take
and
I'll take a
and it-
snapshot.
No, it's great. Look, it's like it scans, it goes down.
Right, I'll take various
Um,
snapshots of it.
I can do that. I can do that, Linda.
Jeff Hamilton,
what I
you
was gonna
knew when you sent this to Pathways that we would talk about it for 4 or 5 hours, right? You knew.
I expected this to go to another meeting.
What an optimist. It's also why I was anxious to move on to this. And sorry, I was a little anxious to get off that other topic. I thought it would, I thought it would work out. But anyway, Allison, you're finished?
Finished with what?
It's capital F, finished for the evening.
Oh, sure.
I think it's given the hour. Let me just check and see if there's anything else pressing on the agenda. Hang on a sec.
I want to know if the guest dog or cat have anything to add.
Jeff, I would take Linda's advice and do screenshots of that before you hit the close button, just so that you
Oh,
are,
I won't close it. I'll either work on it tonight or take screenshots, one or the other.
or just take your screenshots as you scroll down, just so that you get a copy
I'd
somewhere.
probably just move it all to a Word doc and do it that way.
I mean, at the very least, this is all being recorded.
Can
Yeah.
you
For
imagine?
better or for worse, but just a quick thing. It looks like Heidi was texting me, and maybe she's not getting some of the, you've got a couple email lists, and she was pretty sure she didn't get the link that you sent out to the, like the thing you forwarded with all the articles that I found. She says she can't find that.
Let me double check and see if something's funny.
Okay.
I'm going to double check, Allison, and I'll also forward her the link to this.
Great.
And the link to the articles.
I got a little run.
Did you do that already, Allison?
Night,
No, I
everybody.
haven't. I was
Night,
busy
Helen.
finding the
Hi, Helen.
pedestrian safety resolution and adding that, but
All right. Did you want to send that around to people, Allison?
I'm adding it to the folder.
Oh, okay, good.
Anybody can add things to the folder too.
Thanks, everybody. We will chat more about all the exciting things going on in our community at our next meeting.
Thank you. Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm. Am I still sharing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.